Okay, so it is time to do the midweek reading vlog for the third week of March. I can't believe we are this close to ending the month. And there's been a lot going on. As a matter of fact, this week I read 2 books. So let's get into all I've been reading and what's going on. Before I go any further, I just want to let you guys know that I am feeling very much under the weather. And so that's the bad news. The good news is that at the end, so forgive me for how I sound. At the end of this video, I am also going to be doing a book haul, a book purchase, plus a book library haul. So look out for that one because I have some books that have come my way and I'm very excited about that. Let's get right into what I have been reading this week, starting off with Brandon Sanderson's Well of Ascension. In case you have not been following my videos, this is the second book in the Mistborn trilogy series, and I absolutely love this series. Now, I am up to date. If you've been watching me for a while now, you'll know that I was a bit behind the last couple of weeks, but I am up to date with this book. I am at page 442 at the moment, and this is a 700 odd book. Yeah, it's about 700 and something odd, so it's a tome and a half. It's really, really, really long. Now, my thoughts and feelings on this book are that it's not as good as the first one, but that's not to say it's a bad book. It is much more of a political book, a political storyline, plotline, compared to the first one, which had a lot more action to it. Yes, there was some politics embedded into the action, but yeah, this one seems to be much more on the political side, which is fine. I grew to love the characters in the first one, and so reading this book, I'm still following the same characters and still loving them. In the first book, I'm not going to say who, but there is a character that I fell in love with who died, and I was very, very upset about this. If you've seen my review, you'll know who I'm referring to. This book brings up that character every now and again, and it kind of feels like an ode to that character, which brings me little pangs to the heart. It really does, because I miss that character. I loved that character so much. But all in all, it's still a good book. Not as good as the first one, but hey, I still think it's a solid 4-star book at the moment. So pretty happy with what I'm reading here. So on to the books that I have read and completed between my weekly wrap-up of last week and getting to the midpoint of this week. First one is the contemporary book Pool Boy. This is the first book that I pulled out of the draw bucket, the draw genres. And it was I thought it was my first contemporary for the year, but it's not. My first contemporary is actually a book called Once by Morris Gleitzman. I believe I gave that book 2 stars, and hey ho, second contemporary, second 2-star book. This, aside from being a contemporary, this is a book that is about, basically it's a book that has a riches to rags trope, riches to rags trope in it, and it follows the protagonist whose name is, I believe it's Brett. I'll just confirm that. I think that's his name though. Yes, it is, Brett Gerson. And so Brett's family is in a situation where they were rich, but now for a reason that you'll find out when you read the book, they are now poor and they have to live with their auntie. This book did not deliver what I thought it was going to, and I did have a major disappointment with this, and that is that the start of this book opens up with Brett's first couple of days of being poor. I did not like that. If you're going to do a riches to rags trope, for my own personal opinion, you should start 2 chapters back. So do chapter 1 with the rich lifestyle and just talking about how accustomed everyone is to living this rich lifestyle. And then chapter 2 where the major thing happens that makes them poor. And then chapter 3 where you start living that poor life. This did not do that. It jumped right into the poor section into the rags section of the riches to rags trope. Also, this book is very much a character-driven book. I do not like character-driven books. I much prefer plot-driven stories. But there is a moment 3/4 of the way through that I really enjoyed. I really felt the book needed something, and it delivered in the final third. And so I was going to give this book 1 star, but I ended up generously giving it 2 because of the final third of the book, which was really, really, really well done. So that's that one. I'll talk more about this in my weekly wrap-up, as well as with my monthly wrap-up, and I'm going to be doing a review actually on this book in a couple of days' time. So can look out for that one. Just today, I finished this book. This is the second last book that was on my drawers in the genre drawer tub TBR. I have one more to go now that I've read this one. This is a Goosebumps book, as you can see. It is called My Hairiest Adventure. It is a middle grade book, and it absolutely reads like it. In fact, I ended up giving this book 1 star. I don't do that a lot, but I just did not enjoy this book at all. Granted, it is not, I'm not the target audience for this book, that's for sure. But I just didn't appreciate it. I didn't find the story interesting at all until we get to the third last page when the climax occurs. Now, here's my problem, and I don't think this is too much of a spoiler. In the third last page, the climax occurs. The second last page, it is explained why the climax is how it is. So something happens that you're not aware of, and then that happens in the third last page. In the second last page, it's explained why this is, and then it's over half a page later. And I really didn't appreciate that. I wish that we'd had more time, because I started enjoying it from the third last page onwards. So that annoyed me as well. 1 star book for me. It was a really quick read though, so I did appreciate that. It was more horrific than Pet Sematary, which I really did appreciate, which is interesting considering this is a middle grade and Pet Sematary is an adult horror. But yeah, all in all, just wasn't a fan of this one. At least with Pet Sematary, I appreciated the plot. I did not appreciate the plot of this one at all. It's sad because as a child, I loved Goosebumps, and I think for the appropriate audience, ages 7 to 12, they will love this book. But it's just, I don't mind middle grade books. I have a middle grade book that I gave 4 stars that I read a couple of weeks ago. Absolutely loved it. But this one, yeah, I think I've outgrown Goosebumps, honestly. So there we go. So then I had time to fill between now and the rest of the week. And next week, I know what I am going to read, but I had nothing left to read for this week except for the rest of of Ascension. So I went over to the Facebook group that I'm a part of, Passion for Books, and I put 2 books to a vote. I explained to everyone that I have time to fill. I have a book I need to read. Here's 2 books that I have. You guys pick one. And you guys from Passion for Books, you chose this one, this very hefty fella. 495 pages to read in like 3 or 4 days. Wish me the best of luck. It is called The Bizarre Stories of Bad Dreams by Stephen King. Now, for those of you who have been following me for a while, you will remember me doing my review on Pet Sematary and how I said this did not scare me at all. And I was very much let down by it. The plot was amazing, but it's not a contemporary, it's a horror. Did not scare me. This book was chosen for me from my local library by a friend who said, if that didn't scare you, this will. Then I put it to the vote. Obviously, this book won. I have read, not a lot, I read 26 pages so far. And this is what I have to tell you. The 26 pages I've read in this book so far is much scarier than any of Pet Sematary. This is what I wanted to read. And my friend made a very good point when she picked this out for me. This is a book of short stories. And because the stories are much shorter, there's less time to have a stagnant plot, and it has to go right into the scary stuff, and it does. I still think I'm going to be able to sleep with the light on, at least at this stage. I'm only a little bit of the way into a very hefty book. But it's much, much, much scarier. It's much more graphic, and I really, really, really appreciated that. So that is where we are at. So far this week, I've read 2 books. I'm about halfway through, or actually over halfway through, the second book in the Mistborn series, The Well of Ascension. And as of tonight, I have started Stephen King's The Bizarre Stories of Bad Dreams. And I'll be able to fill you in on more on this one and this one when we get to the end of week wrap up. So now we are going to move on to the book haul. If you are going to drop out here, if you don't want to see the book haul, that's totally fine, and I completely understand that. I post videos every Wednesday and Sunday and reviews in between. So thank you very, very much for watching. Letting you go peace, blessings, and so much love. Mwah. I shall see you next time. and happy reading. For those of you who are going to stick around with me for the haul part of this video, stick around, I'll pause the video and we will be right back. Okay, welcome back. Welcome to my massive book haul. Now, before I begin this massive book haul, I need to start off with telling you how my morning looked. Imagine that song Morning Melody. Now, if you don't know that song, look it up on YouTube. You'll know the one I mean. It's pretty common. It's one of those, when the sun rises in the morning and everything's really beautiful and everything was fine. And then all of a sudden, dun, 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 imagine the music from Psycho. Dun, 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 dun. I got a message from a friend of mine telling me, horror of all horrors, that my library was about to close, and it was about to close indefinitely because of the coronavirus pandemic. Now, I understand why this is happening, but, well, they said a lot of things were going to close, and it did not affect me, but closed my library, and we're going to have a whole lot of trouble. So despite the fact that I wasn't feeling well, I don't have the coronavirus, I just have a simple cold. But despite that fact, I got into the car, went down to my library and picked up the books that I had on reserve, because I'm not going to wait for a month or two to be able to pick these books up. So let's see what we do have. We have quite a few here, and then I'm going to discuss with you guys what I ended up actually doing with these books. Yes, I did something with them. I'll explain that to you in just a moment, but let's go through them. First of all, we have Stephen King's The Eyes of the Dragon. Now, you may be thinking, oh, Francy, here you go, another Stephen King, but there's a reason why I picked this up. This is a Stephen King fantasy novel, not a Stephen King horror novel. So I'm actually looking forward to reading this because, as I said with Pet Sematary, I loved the plot, but I didn't like the horror aspects because they didn't exist for me. So maybe I'm going to love this. Don't know anything that it's about. It was just recommended to me, put it on reserve, now I've picked it up. There it is. The next book that I got from my library was the Selection book, part of the, I believe it's called the Selection series by, is it Sierra Cass or I think it's Sierra Cass or Kiera Cass, one of the two. This book has been spoken about for a while. It's been around for a while, and people who talk about this book nowadays, it's very polarizing, it seems. People either love it or they absolutely hate it. But the little that I've heard about it, it's a royal book. Apparently it starts off, and this is just from what I've been told, I haven't read the blurb, it starts off with some kind of a bachelorette kind of deal, but for royalty, the prince trying to choose a princess to marry. It just sounds pretty awesome to me. One of my two favorite movies of all time is The Princess Diaries, and I love. If you have seen the film, you'll know what I mean. If you haven't, check them out. They're pretty cool. I love seeing Princess Mia becoming the princess and everything that she had to learn to become a princess. So I'm kind of intrigued in that kind of a style of storytelling. And so picked up this book. If I love it, I'll absolutely continue on with the series. We'll see how we go. But it is very polarizing, and I do understand that. Some of you, from what you've told me out there, you absolutely love this book. Some of you absolutely hate this book. Some of you love this book when you read it as a child, but don't like it upon reread. So we'll see how Mr. Francy does with this book, but I am excited to read it. We'll see how we go. The next series that I'm going to show you still have their price tags on them. So that kind of blows it, tears it all, but I'll cover the price tag and show you very quickly like this. Okay, it is the Immortal Series. This is the first book, Evermore. So this series was available for purchase at my store, which we sell a lot of different things at my store, but we have a book section that I'm responsible for. I, for a period of time, was working with someone who loves to read as much as I do, which I don't get a lot of the time, that a lot of people love to read as much as I do. And she said, considering the sort of books that I love, that I will love this series. This is book number 1, Evermore. Okay. Book number 2, Blue Moon. And book number 3 is Shadowland. So I have the first 3 books in the Immortals series, and we'll see how we go with that. That was picked up from my store. I purchased those ones. I also purchased, because the same friend recommended this series to me, I believe it is called the Vampire Kisses series. So this is by Ellen Schreiber, very nice name, and that is book number 1 in the Vampire Kisses series. This is book number 2, Kissing Coffins, and this is book number 3, Vampireville. Yes, a Vampire Kisses novel, so there you go. So, looking forward to those ones as well, and thank you to my friend who recommended them for me. Then the rest of the books that I have are library books, starting off with this one that I'm very excited to get to. It is A Shadow Bright and Burning. This is a book that comes incredibly highly recommended from my favourite booktuber, who I still haven't told you who she is. But anyway, she is amazing, and a lot of the books that she recommends to me I do love. For example, she recommended Mistborn to me, and as you guys know, as I've said to you already, Mistborn is the book 1, is the only 5-star book that I have so far for this year, and she gushed about this one. Maybe not as much as Mistborn, but she definitely gushed about this one. So, you know who you are, my favourite booktuber. My turn. I'll tell you what I think when I read it. Most of them are fantasy books, because as you guys know, I love fantasy books. Then we have The Fever King. And this book is by Victoria Lee. This is another book that was recommended by my favourite booktuber. Again, my turn. So we'll see how we go with this one. And finally, another one that she gushed about, probably more than A Shadow Bright and Burning, is Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. So I'm looking forward to all of the books that my favourite booktuber recommended to me, because most of the time, Pet Sematary she got wrong, because I didn't like that one. Well, I liked the plot, but I didn't like the horror aspects. It did not scare me. But most of the time, she's pretty on point with things that I like. So, very, very, very excited about all that. Now, I told you I was going to tell you something that I've already done with these books, and I'll tell you that in just a moment. So, there are a plethora of books here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is the wrong one, 7. Sorry. I meant this one, 7. And I thought, well, I can put all these onto my April TBR, but there's just one problem. You will find out what's going on when we get to that video. But in April, I actually have a plan of what I want to do for April, and I have 4 books that have already been chosen. They were chosen either at the end of February or the beginning of March, so quite a while ago. And so I'm now looking for 4 more books. But as you can see, this is more than 4 books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books. So what I did is I grabbed the title of all of these books and put them up onto my favourite Facebook group, Passion for Books. And I've told everyone that they have until the end of the month to vote on which of these books they would like for me to read. I really didn't want to drop any of these books. And now they're starting to fall all over the place. Which of these books they wanted me to read. So I'm giving them till a couple of days before the end of the month, and this is how it's going to work. I'm going to leave the link to that group below if you would like to join that group. We would love to have you. I am not the moderator, the owner, or anything of the sort of this group. I just really love this group though, because they're very interactive. I've put up a number of posts there, and everyone seems to really get involved with, I don't have it on me anymore, but the Bizarre Dreams book by Stephen King that I'm reading currently. I put that up as a poll, and a number of people voted on it and voted for that one. So they're very interactive. I've done a couple of other things as well. We've talked about what's on their TBR, what they're reading, all that kind of stuff, and they're just really amazing. So if you'd like to join that group, I will put the link below. But I have put it to a poll. All of these books that I just showed you, I put them in a poll, and I said to everyone, vote for the one that you would like to see me read and talk about in April. I've also put one little rule against that, and that is that as a cumulative number of pages, I will not go over 1,250 because of the other books that I am going to be reading in April, and I know that they make up a certain number of pages themselves. So yeah, if you would like the chance to vote on that poll, please by all means click on the link below, join that group Passion for Books, and vote in that poll. And you tell me what you'd like to see me read for next month, and we'll get right into that. But let's wrap things up here. I'm really trying to make these weekly vlogs shorter and shorter every week, but it's just not working out for whatever reason. But anyway, I will leave that there. I post videos every Wednesday and Sunday, and thank you so much for watching. I do post reviews as well. Look out for my review of The Pool Boy coming out very soon. In the meantime, I'm letting you guys go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Mwah! Thank you so much for watching, and of course, happy reading! Ooh, too many books. Bye guys, bye!